Marlon Wayans is freakily unhinged, and Tyriq Withers is feverishly driven in Justin Tipping's Him. It is a messed up horror, but there are elements that we've seen before, so should you grab your tickets to see it? A young athlete descends into a world of terror when he's invited to train with a legendary champion whose charisma turns sinister. So for those of you like me who aren't into sports but enjoy sports-centered movies, this one diverges from the uplifting underdog story to deliver something heinous, poignant, grotesque, and layered. Withers plays a talented quarterback who gets the opportunity to train with the best there is, an aging but still wildly skilled quarterback who's played by Marlon Wayans. Now the movie pulls in a lot of religious iconography, which given the title, and even some of the promotional material, I don't think is unexpected. The story blurs the lines of belief and zealotry, using both to just point out how it can be addicting and powerful, but also, when wielded negligently, can be devastatingly harmful. From the very start of the movie, the dialogue and characters are centered around the idea of the greatest, the chosen, the one. And on a very obvious note, it showcases how American football, or really any sport, is a religion in many households across the US, pulling in devotees who are rabid and chaotic and ultra-loyal to their team or the players. Now the obviousness, it doesn't stop there within the messaging. There are many sequences throughout the storytelling that play out in a predictable arc simply because they showcase elements that we've been shown many times before in other films. It's not really subversive because we have seen it before, but that doesn't negate the power of the narrative. There are several deep commentaries being examined that all tie in together, so the story doesn't feel like it's several different arcs that are just crashing into each other. And they don't feel disjointed, but instead they're complementary and are effective in driving home a bunch of the points. Obvious social critiques touch on race and the power structure that exists, where players, typically black, are seen more as commodities for a team brand, useful while successful and then tossed aside once their shine has run its course. There's also the commentary on religion, as I'd mentioned before, showing how popularity, fame, even skill can be the catalyst for lifting someone up as worshipful. And then maybe less obvious within the movie, the plot examines ideas like ambition, sacrifice, and priorities, allowing us to see how these can invade a psyche and then be used as a tool to drive us or manipulate us for some sort of gain. And that can be personal or greedily for somebody else. But these are also effectively demonstrated within a ton of the dialogue and through some of the actions. Now I said at the start that Marlon Wayans is freakily unhinged, and he is so psychotically focused in this. I mean, his intensity is terrifying at times, made even more deranged through instantaneous mood swings that go from rageful screaming to chuckles and smiles. I mean, it's not like he's insane or crazy. His character is fully in control of their emotional state, but they vacillate through a range of emotions that keeps us off balance. I mean, he fully embodies the GOAT quarterback, administering his skill and talent, and then even godlike influence over all of those around him. Now, I would label him as cocky, but that kind of makes him sound off-putting. He's charismatic, and he drew me in. But at the same time, he felt as though he could rip a throat out at any moment. And the power he showcases works to reinforce just about every theme that the story examines. And there's also a mysterious element that sits just under the surface with his character. Now, I felt like I was pretty sure I knew what was happening well before the reveal, but I wasn't so confident that I would say I was absolutely certain of how everything was going to play out. There were some great surprises Wayans unleashed for us, and he provides an extremely captivating performance that allows him to showcase depth outside of the traditional comedy that he's been known for. And then we've got relative newcomer Tyriq Withers. He was most recently in the I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot sequel thingy, so don't hold that against him. That movie was crap. Here, as the potential successor to Wayans, Withers enthralls through his conflicted persona. And he absolutely wants to become the greatest quarterback ever, and we get to see what sacrifices he's willing to make to that end. But there's also this lingering doubt, or maybe it's an uncertainty behind his eyes, transitioning him from just a one-note jock to this complex persona who has a certain relatability to him. And there were some key moments when Withers uncorks his character and just allows all of the desire, rage, regret, and drive to pour out. And here's where we get to watch this terrifying energy that matches Wayans, drawing parallels between the two and creating some personality arcs that we know are going to clash at some point. From a visual perspective, this movie is strange in an awesome way. Sometimes the camera pulses to this beat, like maybe it's a heartbeat or simply just the rhythm of some music, but it creates this unseen energy that doesn't totally feel positive, instead bringing about a sense of dreadful anticipation. And there are also some outstanding special effects that allow us to see inside the characters' bodies. I mean, think a mixture of an X-ray and a thermal scan. We can see the skeleton along with energy that's racing through. And then kind of like within an MRI, the depth that we watch, it changes so that we go in and out of the layers of a person so that we can show bodily trauma, intense pain, sometimes just a physical strain that somebody's enduring. I'm not sure I've ever seen this technique used before. It was impressive and effective, instantly firing the pain receptors so that the visuals were relatable even though I wasn't directly feeling them. While the entire movie does have violence to it, there's a portion that just triples down and becomes a blood-soaked horror show. Now, I was a little shocked that we didn't get to see as much of the gore that the actions would have produced. We see aftermath, and we see blood spurts and splatters, but mainly any stabby kills or punchy moments, they happen off camera, and then pan over to show us the aftermath. I mean, it's still effective, but this decision removes the slasher element from the presentation. And maybe that was so that the messaging just didn't become overshadowed by some gnarly chops. I was just really hoping to see at least a few of the blows land once the carnage began. Despite this being a little too on the nose with its obvious arcs and the lack of contact violence, I still walked away from him enjoying the film. The performances from Marlon Wayans and Tyriq Withers grabbed hold of me and they didn't let me look away, becoming way more than dumb one-dimensional jocks to present layered and nuanced characters who were magnetic and horrific. The effects and stylings presented a unique visual aesthetic, mixing glam and glitz with rage and ferocity. The messaging and the commentary isn't new or novel, feeling familiar to works by the movie's producer, Jordan Peele, but this still delivers a satisfying and brutal look into what motivates people and explores the lengths that they were willing to go to achieve some greatness. There's a little sex, some nudity, ton of profanity, and a lot of violence. I give him 4 out of 5 couches. So what have you been watching lately? Anything great that you can recommend to me? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.